Hey everyone, it's Evangeline, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Yakima HighRoad roof-mounted bike rack. This is going to be a premium but also very easy to use rack for your bikes of different shapes and sizes. You're going to mount this to your roof rack on your vehicle, and then you can carry around your bikes from one point to another. If you have to mount your bike to your roof, this is usually the bike rack that I would recommend because of its versatility and it's really easy to use. This is a front wheel mounted rack, meaning you get to keep your front wheel on, so you load your bike on as is, take off your bike without having to remove anything. Now there are some downsides to that style of a bike rack, especially with how tall this is going to sit on your car. So you have limited clearance for your garage or want to go through drive-thrus, this is not the style you'll go for. But if you do like this style because of its convenience, this is going to be the one that does it, in my opinion, the best. What makes this design more convenient to use compared to some other wheel on roof bike racks is going to be how they use this torque right knob and how it secures and torques down to your front wheel. So rather than having to reach up and get a hook and then push it around, once you get your bike onto the rack, you just lift this bottom cradle up into place, push up against the bottom of your wheel, and then you tighten down with the knob. The knob is called a torque right knob because once you reach the proper tension or torque, it prevents over tightening on that front wheel. Here it clicked just like that. That's it doing its job. Not only does it secure your bike by the front wheel, but you also have this rear wheel strap. You actually get two straps with this rack. I'm just using the regular size one, but if you do have tires that are wider than 3 inches, but less than 4, you can utilize the longer strap. This secures the bottom wheel, but you can adjust for different wheelbases. The maximum wheelbase you can carry with this rack is going to be up to 52 inches, which is an improvement from a previous design of this bike rack. So that easy movement and adjustment, again, makes it easier to load your bike up and make sure it's secured. Adding to that security, you do have an integrated cable lock. Yakima calls this their tail whip cable lock, and this pulls out of the back of the bike rack. Now, this is a great idea, but you do have two things you have to consider with it. The first is you have to purchase the SKS lock cores or their same key system. This is sold separately. Ideally, you'll want two, one for the tail whip cable lock, the other for your strap in the back. And then the second thing about this is it's not a very long cable lock. For certain bikes with maybe shorter wheelbases that's a little bit further front, you might be able to barely get it around the frame. A lot of people secure this to the rear triangle, but the concept is that once it's in place, you just push in and then it secures. Again, this will only work once you have your metal lock core. Fortunately, you do have a lot of other options and it's not that big of a deal. One of the options you have for your security is you can use your own cable lock. There is a bracket here on that front wheel mount, and this gives you easy access or easy way to secure the front wheel and your frame. And then you can either wrap it around itself, around your roof rack, or around your bike rack. So if you have your own cable lock, awesome. If you don't yet have one, I do recommend the etrailer cable lock as an easy addition. But remember that cable locks really should only be used when you are parked. When you're driving, it's not wise to have a cable lock because then that's extra touch points on your bike, but also risking damage to your roof or your rack or your bike. So when you start driving, go ahead, take those cable locks off and put them back in the car. These features work together to make sure that your bike is secure when you're transporting it. So what type of bike is this designed for? Usually people use the HighRoad for mountain bikes just because of its design to hold those wider tires, but you can also use this for your road bikes. So tire size capacity is going to be from 26 inches to 29ers, like what we have here. Your maximum tire size is going to be up to 4 inches, with your minimum tire size being your 23 millimeter road bikes. And this is what the road bike will look like mounted to your bike rack. Everything is going to mount the exact same way. You just have to keep an eye out for the tire and make sure it fits into the thinner groove on that bottom cradle. If you're going off-roading, Yakima recommends you carry bikes no heavier than 27 pounds, but for most regular use, you can carry bikes of up to 45 pounds. But when it comes to that point, it's really up to how much do you want to or can lift onto your roof. And the experience of loading your bike is going to be very different depending on your bike's weight, on your vehicle, as well as the height of your roof rack and style of roof rack. So let's take this off so I can guide you through that process and give you my tips and tricks for getting your bike on your roof. To attach the straps, you first need to push the cradles up. So we'll do the front cradle, that rear cradle, and then we're gonna fit the plastic end of our strap through like this. Make sure that the strap fits into the notches on your rack, and if your tension is set correctly, you can tighten or loosen that tension, by the way, with this. You can then turn that strap into the rack. So do the tension to just where you feel a little bit of resistance, but not too much. And then you can close it up with that back piece. That rear strap, by the way, when you secure it, this is the one that you can add the lock cord to prevent your rack being stolen. Now you're ready to load up your bike. There's two things you're gonna look for. The first is make sure your bike rack is ready. You want that front mount all the way up, and then that rear part of the front mount all the way down. You want your strap in the open position. The second thing is make sure that you are ready. Make sure you have enough height as well as leverage on your bike to be able to lift this in the upright position. In my case, I don't exactly have the height, so I'm gonna utilize a step stool to get me into the car. This is something I've learned from a family that has a very, very tall Tahoe. What they do is one person hands the bike to the other person standing close to the roof, and then you lift the bike up into the cradle. The main thing you need to focus on is getting that front wheel up against that cradle. And that way you can just push this up into place and tighten it down from there. And that's how you get a bike on there. So one of the downsides of a wheel on rack like this is you do have to get a little bit more height in order to get your bike vertical. So in those cases, some alternatives are gonna be a fork mounted bike rack like the High Speed, where you don't have to get as high onto your roof. And if even that might feel like a little bit too much, you always have the option of getting a hitch mounted bike rack. So even though I still needed help to get the bike up onto the bike rack, that's just the nature of pretty much every roof-mounted bike rack. And all of them are gonna be a little bit of a hassle to get those things on there. The Yakima HighRoad is just gonna make it less of a hassle, especially with how that knob is a lot more accessible and closer to the roof of your vehicle. Now you do have to admit that the HighRoad is a premium bike rack, and it does sit at a premium price point. I think it's worth it because you have those very easy to use features. I like the straps with how universal they are. I'm not a big fan of clamps. Plus you have that sleek design and versatility where it will work with most types of bikes. But if you're not quite ready to invest in the premium price just yet, there is an alternative for you. You can start with the Yakima front loader. Very similar to designs to this, but instead of the straps, it does have clamps that go around your crossbars. It doesn't fit as many types of bikes, but most of your mountain bike and road bikes will be a fit. Plus, it's gonna be a lot more affordable compared to this. So there are pros and cons to every bike rack. If you're looking for the most versatile as well as easy to use, this HighRoad is definitely top of my list for that. There are two versions of this bike rack available. This is available as a clamp-on version, which is what we are mainly looking at here, but you can also get the channel mount version where it includes T-track adapters, ideal if you don't know what type of roof rack you're going to mount it to. Both of them are available here on our website at etrailer.com, but right here, this was a look at the Yakima HighRoad roof-mounted bike rack. My name is Evangeline, and I hope you enjoyed the journey.